Hi there! Are you looking for more information on how to fulfill the requirements of the person responsible for regulatory compliance according to the MDR in a practical way? Then you have come to the right place. My name is Pontus Gedda and I am the author of the online course Introduction to Person Responsible for Regulatory Compliance. I have worked in the medical device industry for over 20 years and my interest for regulatory affairs brought me to the world of notified bodies in 2014. The notified body I worked for was designated for MDR under my management, and I am also an MDR lead auditor. Taking this short course will give you a better understanding of the PRRC role on a higher level and hopefully get you interested in taking the full PRRC online course. Remember, it's mandatory for all manufacturers to have a PRRC available if you are CE marking medical devices according to the MDR. The PRRC requirements also applies to any European representative for those manufacturers needing that, meaning if you are a manufacturer from outside the European Union, you need to have your own appointed PRRC. And the European representative also needs to have a PRRC, and that person cannot be the same person for both those roles. And if you are a manufacturer having a notified body, it's mandatory for that notified body to control that your PRRC has the right education and training, like a certificate from a specific PRRC course. The goals for this short course are for you to get a basic overview of the parts of the medical device regulation related to the PRRC and understand the role of the PRRC under the MDR. Then, based on this, you should be able to decide if the full course on the PRRC that we offer on medicaldevicehq.com can help you in your job or career. The full course is similar to this one, but much more comprehensive with more in-depth information and quizzes at the end of each topic to test your knowledge and understanding. You will also receive a course certificate at the end of the full course, which may be a thing that an auditor will be looking for. Any specific requirements in the MDR that relates to the PRRC role then? Yes, some at least, and according to me, those are that, of course, the MDR is quite a massive regulation. So don't be scared if you don't get the grip of all of it at a first glance. There are actually quite a few guidance documents available out there to support you in understanding the MDR. And in the full course, I will talk more about those. Another relevant example of an MDR requirement is EUDAMED. Not a defined requirement for the PRRC to manage EUDAMED, but I guess it will also impact the PRRC role since the registration of devices, as done in EUDAMED, is linked to the Declaration of Conformity, which is one of the PRRC's responsibilities. EUDAMED is this new pan-European database for economic operators and devices. And as a PRRC, you need to be registered in EUDAMED together with the manufacturer you are the PRRC for. Then the UDI, or Unique Device Identifier, is linked to EUDAMED, and this is a quite massive topic on its own. As a PRRC, you will probably be working with UDI to some extent, mainly since at least the basic UDI-DI is needed for the Declaration of Conformity, which is the PRRC responsibility to draw up. Then we have EMDN, another interesting abbreviation. EMDN stands for European Medical Device Nomenclature. This is especially important for manufacturers of Class 2B devices, since this is crucial for the sample size of the technical documentation when you apply for MDR assessment with a notified body. And as a PRRC, you are responsible for setting up the technical documentation, so this is also somewhat related to the PRRC role. And in MDR, we have Article 10. And Article 10 introduces some requirements that are very important. The main takeaway from this article is that all medical device manufacturers shall have a QMS, a quality management system, including, among others, a process for product realization, post-market surveillance system, or short PMS, and vigilance management. The PRRC is responsible for checking that the manufactured products are in accordance with the QMS under which they were manufactured. And this is very much under the bullet point G here. It is also the PRRC's responsibility to ensure that the PMS requirements are followed and the reporting obligations of vigilance is done in a correct way. Just for clarification, having a QMS also applies to Class 1 manufacturers. However, you don't need a notified body if you only have Class 1 products. But having a quality management system applies to importers and distributors as well to some extent. And these importers and distributors are some types of what we call economical operators that also needs to follow the MDR. Then we have something called Periodic Safety Update Reports, or PSUR. These can be seen as the results and output of the post-market surveillance plan, and they need to be documented and made available. Since the PRRC is responsible for PMS activities, this requirement will also fall on the PRRC. We also have the General Safety and Performance Requirements, or just GSPR. This is a comprehensive 14-page part of the MDR that covers general and specific device requirements applicable to all medical device classes. Here are a few interesting requirements under the GSPR. You need to write the word medical device on the label or use a symbol from a harmonized standard to indicate this. There is, for example, requirements regarding flammable or explosive substances that you can find under 14.3 in the GSPRs. There are actual limits for some harmful substances like carcinogenic or mutagenic substances under 10.4.1. Another example is that devices shall be designed and manufactured in such a way that adjustment, calibration, and maintenance can be done safely and effectively. This according to 14.4. The GSPRs are related to the PRRC since they are an essential part of the technical documentation which the PRRC is responsible for setting up. So let's have a quick look at the MDR. This regulation was published by the European Commission on the 5th of May 2017 to replace the old directives. It entered into force 20 days later, meaning the 26th of May 2017. And it shall apply from the 26th of May 2021. That is the famous date of application, or DOA. And this is what it actually looks like. If you still have medical devices on the market that were correctly CE marked before the date of application, you can keep them on the market as long as you basically don't change them. And those MDD devices are allowed to stay on the market until the last of December 2028 or last of December 2027 if it is an implant or Class 3 device. Those were the major things in the MDR that I wanted to highlight in relation to the PRRC role. Let's look at the actual responsibilities of the PRRC then. These are the main responsibilities of the PRRC as defined in Article 15 in the MDR. In the full course, I will go through these responsibilities and how to work with them in details. But for now, I will just go briefly into the details of the first requirement, which is probably also the requirement that will be most often applied since it relates to releasing products from manufacturing. This is what parts of a typical manufacturing process could look like. And here it's quite obvious that the PRRC is not just responsible for controlling that the actual machining, assembly or packaging is done in accordance with the QMS requirements. A lot of manufacturers seem to think that the PRRC only needs to sign off on the product release form to ensure that the production records are filled in correctly. But I would say that the PRRC has a much broader responsibility. The requirement related to the PRRC in the MDR is that the PRRC is responsible for ensuring that the conformity of the device is appropriately checked in accordance with the quality management system under which the devices are manufactured. And the requirements of the QMS do not only include product release, but rather a lot of different activities. This means that the PRRC needs to have good understanding of the manufacturer's QMS, and he or she needs to have access to supplier evaluation records and purchasing documentation also, just to mention a few. Therefore, it's wise to include the PRRC in the procedures of your QMS, and for smaller manufacturers, it can be efficient to include the PRRC directly into the SOPs to ensure that the PRRC is updated, aligned, and confident that their responsibilities are fulfilled. For a large manufacturer, it might not be plausible to include the PRRC in detail in every process or SOP. Then it can be good to instead have a specific PRRC review activity stipulated, much like the management review activity. In this case, the PRRC will call for regular meetings where the persons responsible for specific processes provide reports on their management and output of the various processes. Independent on how you manage the responsibilities of the PRRC, you need to remember to specify the required qualifications and potential training needed, as well as the responsibilities and authorities in the PRRC's job description. These authorities may include the power to say stop or delay a release in case the PRRC is not confident that the manufacturer is fulfilling all its regulatory obligations. And this is what a PRRC job description could look like, including responsibilities, authorities, and qualifications. At Medical Device HQ, we offer online courses, public classroom courses, as well as in-house training, also on risk management, design control, and project management for medical devices. Drop us a line on support at Medical Device HQ if you would like to learn more about your options or receive a proposal. Or email me on the same email address if you have a question relating to the PRRC, or share what you think is most challenging on the role of being a PRRC. I hope to hear from you soon.